KO, and he owns the WBC Continental America Super Middleweight.
What motivated me to connect my life to boxing was the fact that my father was watching Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, I think in 1974. I might have been about 5 years old. My father was so intrigued by what Muhammad Ali was doing. So for me, I felt like I had the mindset to do what Muhammad Ali was doing, but I didn't have the skill set. So if I could get the skill set, I could be a really good fighter, because he was somebody who my father, who was my first idol, was completely taken by. So if you like this guy that much, I see what this guy's doing. If somebody teaches me how to use these, I can do what that guy's doing. So that was my first take into boxing, and that's when I knew that because of that mindset, I was prepared to do what he was doing. So the great Muhammad Ali was my first taste of boxing. My brightest and most important fights in my career, there's a few of them. My first fight was one because I fought an exhibition the first week, and I gave up maybe 14 pounds to this kid in 3 years of age, maybe 4 years of age. I think I was 10 and he was 14, and I fought him and I beat him. And it was pretty good, so that was really important to me because I had the option back then to wear headgear, and I chose not to. And I was the smaller guy and the younger guy, but I chose not to wear the headgear, so that meant a lot. That told me a lot about how bad I really wanted to fight. Next, I guess, was winning the Alabama State Golden Gloves, which I won about 6 times. Then winning the National Junior Olympics was big to me. Then winning the National Golden Gloves. Then winning the Olympic trials. Then getting robbed of a gold medal, of course, in the Olympics. Then beating Bernard Hopkins because that was my first world title fight. Then beating James Toney because I became pound for pound the best in the world. Then winning the undisputed light heavyweight title. Also redeeming my first loss that was a disqualification loss. So to redeem that loss to Montel Griffin was big. Then to become heavyweight champ of the world, and that was the cream of the crop. The future of boxing is in pretty good shape if we can get these guys to start fighting when the fights are at their pinnacle. We went through a situation where one guy was pretty smart, he was the best businessman ever, but it kind of put a hurting on boxing because he fought to stay undefeated, but he didn't fight the best fighters when they were at their peak. So it kind of made a little bit of a transition in boxing to where people in boxing are now starving to have fights at their peak. And a lot of times people avoid like he did, which he made a whole lot of money doing that, which was great for his career as far as financial, but it hurt the sport in my opinion. But he's the best businessman to ever come to the sport because he, business-wise, did something nobody could do. But most of us didn't try to do that because we wanted to fight the best when we were the best. So it's a little bit different. But because of that, boxing's on a comeback because we got to bounce back from that notion of picking fights and staying undefeated to fighters that are here fight the other fighter that is here. That's how it goes in every other sport. So if we don't do that in boxing, boxing is going to continue to lose momentum. Right now it has lost momentum because we don't get those fights anymore. And all the time it's not just because of him, sometimes because they don't do it in time and the fighters lose. Like we wanted to see Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. Both of them lost. Now we want to see Fury versus Joshua, but Fury got to fight Wilder again and Joshua got to fight Usyk. Anything can happen again. So those are the type of things that are hurting boxing because we're not getting the pinnacle fights at the pinnacle times. So we want A to be the best, B to be the best, one in the east, one in the west, or either one in the north or one in the south. But the best got to meet the best when they're both at their peak, not when one is here and one is here. So that's the only thing that happened to boxing. The main thing I like to add to AIBA is fairness. Just like the president said he's gonna do. So if he's gonna do that, that's just the biggest thing we can get, because what I think separated AIBA from sports or from the people is that people start feeling it wasn't fair. They feel like fights were fixed. And even with AIBA and the IOC, they've separated because they bump heads. But I feel like what I would like to see is AIBA get on the right track first. Then AIBA try to get the IOC to also join us and get on the right track. and then bring them both back together, because the world is too big and life is too short for everybody to be fighting. Let's get along and make it a better place for the fighters, not each other. So AIBA and IOC, we all have to get together and make it a better, safer, fair place for the fighters. Yeah, there's a chance for a guy to become a champion if he comes in the box at a late age. It's just not as easy as other sports, because there are so many guys like myself who grew up boxing. So a lot of time when you match a person like myself who grew up boxing with a person like James Toney, who came into boxing a little bit later, got really good at it, but still, because I've been doing it since I was so young, my years of experience still superseded his experience and his knowledge. So when we met, people say, wow, it looked like you beat him easy. It wasn't really easy, just that I've been fighting so much longer than him, that I know so much more than him. So I made it look easy, but it wasn't easy, because he was a very good fighter, and at that time, he was pound for pound the best fighter. Yeah, there are different ways to try to build character in fighters. You have to sometimes put them in other things that make them learn about different sacrifices and different situations. A lot of times, making them understand what people go through on a day-to-day basis that have no chance to be free. Like a lot of times when boxers see people in prison systems and realize these people can't go anywhere, or they see sick kids in beds and realize these kids can't get up and go. That builds character, make them understand how lucky they are to be blessed to be free and able to go. So there are several different ways to build characters in athletes, not just boxers, in all athletes. And when you do that, it's very important, because you make them realize the gift that God has given them. Everybody don't have that all the time in that same manner. In my opinion, the best way to gain perfect shape before competition is you must have a cardiovascular situation built up. You must have good cardio to get your cardio up so that you can perform. Once you know that you can perform, you also have to have good technique in order to be able to have something to do. So having good form without technique is not good. Having good technique without good cardio is not good. The two must match. So you get good cardio, good exercise, and a good roadmap, and you got somewhere to go. When I was a young boxer, I just had a jump rope, a wheel to do the exercise, load exercise, boxing trunks, tennis shoes, heavy bag gloves, and sparring gloves, and a headgear and a cup. And that was pretty much it. My favorite way to cut weight is I like to I like to diet for the first 5 weeks. And if I'm in an 8-week camp, I'll diet the first 6 weeks. The last 2 weeks, I'll start a slow dehydration process. That dehydration process pulls down the last maybe 10 to 15, maybe even 20 pounds. I've done it as much as 20 pounds, because the one thing your body can digest quickest is water. So if you eat every day, yet you dehydrate yourself, your body's getting the nutrients, it's just missing the water. The water is the fastest thing to put back in your body. So that's why some guys like myself, when I fought middleweight, I weighed in at 159 and I came in at 179 because I could drink 20 pounds of water, and this was the same day. I gained 20 pounds the same day and still had an optimal performance. Still fought at my peak the same day, 20 pounds heavier. Amazing. But guys got different ways they do it now. Some guys are water load, they do salt baths, they do all types of new things that the mixed martial arts guys have some phenomenal ways of doing it. So there are several ways, but my way was to diet for the first 3/4 of the way, then to dehydrate the last quarter. The best way to calm yourself before a fight is to think about tomorrow and to think about those who are less operative, who don't have the opportunity to get up out of a hospital bed, to get up out of a wheelchair, to come out of a jail cell and actually perform and do what they say they want to do. If these things don't calm you, then this is not what you want to do. Because you can't be calm by thinking about people who are in places that wished guys in wheelchairs that would give anything just to walk. And you got the opportunity to fight, and you're going to be afraid or emotional to the point it's going to affect your performance. you're crazy. So I always think about people who wish they could. I think about what's this gonna look like tomorrow on camera, because today is the beginning of the rest of the future. If I make this look good today, then I look good from now on. And that's how I used to calm myself. Yeah, you have to be able, in order to change the way a fight is going during the fight, you have to be able to change with whatever's going on. You have to be able to adapt. You can't adapt and make changes, you never can change the way a fight goes. The way I see it is, if a guy's coming forward and he's winning, then sometimes you gotta try different. Try backing him up or try circling him. Do the opposite of what's causing you to lose, because usually that will have a lot of an effect on how that fight is going. Certain guys like to do certain things. Most guys have something they like to do. If you can change that, you lower their percentage of winning drastically. What I can say to a young boxer is, when you box, take boxing serious. Know that it's not something that you want to do your whole life. It's not going to last that long. But enjoy every moment of it. Get in top shape. Find you a good teacher that can teach you how to do things you want to do. Find you a role model, a guy who boxes like you want to box, a guy that has your same or similar DNA, because that's the guy you want to take and figure out what made him so good. That can make you better yourself. My main philosophy is do unto others as you have them do unto you. That's one of them. But my biggest philosophy that I live by probably is the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I can't change, the courage to change the things that I can change, and the sense to know the difference. That's the biggest thing in life for me.